opinion, Iceland's magnificent nature comes with a monster. Reykjavik. I remember the first time I experienced an earthquake in Iceland. I ran for the nearest door frame. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Under the slope, the ceilings of my attic apartment in one of Reykjavik's iconic Balujan houses. I remember being frightfully aware of my fate should the older or the timber frame and corrugated iron siding decide to simply give way. The shaking ended in seconds, but my knees quaked and my heart raced a while longer. I remember the first time I saw an active volcano. It was the eruption of Filbo in March 2010, the precursor to the infamous eruption that began just a month later, spewing both ash and memes about the impossible to pronounce the name in equal measure. In what seems like a daydream to think back on now, I donned a snowsuit, boots, balaclava, and helmet and rode a snowmobile over the crunching, crackling, crevassed surface of blah blah glacier as the sun set to witness a fissure vent spewing glowing fountains of liquid magma high into the air, while a lava fall cascaded down the soot black side of the newly formed crater. The sight of it was magnificently multisensory. The glow of the lava against the night sky, the waves of heat from the eruption lending an intermittent reprieve from the paralyzing cold atop the glacier. The sound of the earth churning, that sound remains the most vivid memory. The sounds of the earth's pulse. Hikers are silhouetted against the rivers of lava flowing from the volcanic eruption between Iceland AM glaciers in March 2010. Such perceptible reminders of the tectonic plate shifting beneath me were not something I was accustomed to. Growing up in the suburb not far from Toronto, earthquake and volcanoes were phenomena I'd see on my television screen or described in the pages of all the issues of National Geographic. The closest thing my home came to experiencing the earthquake would have been the result of slamming my bedroom door with a bit too much angst. It wasn't until I moved to Iceland in March 2009, lured by an opportunity to witness and report on the nation emerging from the economic implosion, that I came to understand and appreciate the explosive qualities of the world. It's easy to appreciate the physical beauty of Iceland with its depth of dense tree cover and the expanse of sometimes barren and other times moss covered lava field. Each come to be described as otherworldly to an almost cliche degree. But inquisitive visitors soon learn that Icelandic nature must be respected not only for its preservation but for their own safety. It's something that all Icelanders know. Their country is beautiful, but there's always the potential for danger. Icelanders have been reminded of that now that resident of Grindavik, a small town 50 kilometers from Reykjavik on the south coast of the Reykjanes Peninsula, are staying with friends and family and at Red Cross emergency shelters around the country. Though the majority of the country is safe, a large swath of this peninsula has been evacuated as the Icelandic Meteorological Office continues to predict an eruption is imminent. Damage caused from earthquakes and the magma beneath the town of Grindavik on November 2022. Residents have been evacuated amid an imminent volcanic eruption. It's perhaps the Icelandic understanding that this is just the way it is that so the people of Grindavik previously stayed put when the ground started shaking in recent years, not far from their homes. The peninsula enters the new volcanic cycle in 2019 with the uptick in earthquake and the measurable ground rise around the blah blah volcano that culminated in an eruption in March 2021. The cycle of near constant earthquakes, heralding an eruption near Pagrada Sjar, repeated in July 2022 and again in July 2023. News during those seismic and eruptive period characterized the earthquakes as an inconvenience for nearby Grindavik, nearby, but far enough away from the epicenter of the volcanic action to be well out of danger. The trio of eruptions in as many years were touted as tourist eruptions, far from infrastructure and safe to view if you were up for a 10-kilometer hike. We could feel the larger quakes here in Reykjavik too, now in a sturdier concrete home. I can hear shockwaves approaching like a large truck speeding down the street before slamming into the building with a jolt and rolling on. The 140,000 of us living in the capital experienced the most recent activity on the Janis Peninsula much the same, the odd jolt or occasional rumble. But the most recent burst of seismic activity that began on October 25 was different for the people of Grindavik. Rather than quirky news stories of residents taking seasickness tablets to cope with the constantly moving earth, the epicenter had moved beneath the town described by the one resident to Reykjavik, having as the monster under their feet. That monster was restless, causing tens of thousands of earthquakes before finally throwing a tantrum on November 10th that repeatedly pulled the ground from under people's feet. It was late that night that the 3,700 residents of Grindavik were ordered to evacuate. The monster had borrowed the 15-kilometer lava tunnel that stretched beneath the town. Nobody is in harm's way now, while the earthquakes have subsided somewhat. We haven't felt them in the capital since the swarms of November 10th, but the explosive nature of this country straddling tectonic plates and its potential impact on humans have been brought to the fore. Not since the Westman Iceland awake to the eruption in their backyard in 1973 has the entire town been evacuated. Now everyone waits and watches and wonders if residents of Grindavik will ever go back home. Will they even want to? I remember my first volcano. I don't want the memory of one destroying people's homes.